Okay, so when we're finding composition using a graph, it's the same idea. I still start with the inner part, and then I use that input as my new output. So for number 1, what am I going to start with? G of what? G of -2. Okay, you don't need to copy down this graph. On the next example, I'll let you take a picture of it when it's a you try, so that way you can do it on your paper or at your desk. Before I keep going, I want to look at and figure out what f of x and g of x are. So I have 2 graphs, a blue one and a purple one. Which one is the purple one? This one is f of x, okay. So then what does that mean the blue one is? G of x, perfect, okay. So these are my 2 functions that I'm dealing with. Okay, for number 1. For number 1, what is the first thing that I need to find? G of -2. Okay, so that number -2, I'm always going to go to x equals whatever that number is. So I'm going to go to x equals -2. And you don't have to draw this, but I'm going to draw a vertical line every single time just so you guys can see it up on here. So at g of -2, am I going to look at the blue graph or the purple graph? The blue graph, okay. So at what y value does my line go through the blue graph at? Goes through right here. Do you see how they intersect right there? Okay, what y value is that? What y value? It's not imaginary. It's 0. Have I gone up or down? That's 2 people. 2 people. How many of you are there in here? Okay. Do we agree that that's y equals 0? Okay, we're going to go over it again. So I'm finding g of -2. Do you agree with that part? That part's okay? So that means x equals -2. So I'm just going to draw a vertical line so you guys can see it. So right here is where my vertical line is, okay? So my g function is the blue graph, right? This one right here. So that's the one that I'm focusing on. So right here, at this point, they intersect. Do you agree with that? Okay, so I know that the x value is -2, but what is the y value? The y value is 0, so then that means that my answer is 0. Okay. What do I do with that 0 now? Plug it into f. Good, so I'm going to find f of 0 now. So when x is 0, that's right here. Now, is f my blue graph or my purple graph? My purple, so I'm going to look right here. Where is that point of intersection? -3, so that means my answer is -3. Is that okay so far? Okay, what questions do you have before I move on to number 2? Number 2 is similar. Okay, so on number 2, I'm going to erase this now. On number 2, what am I finding first? What am I looking for first? F of 0. Perfect. Okay. So I need f of 0 equals some number. So again, x equals 0 is this vertical line. That's the y-axis. And which graph am I looking at? The purple one or the blue one? Purple. So that's still -3. It's the same as the last part, okay? And it just happens to be that they're the same. What do I do next? Find g of -3. Okay. Do we have any questions so far? You okay? Okay, so I'm going to go to where x equals -3. Draw my vertical line there. Now, again, you don't have to draw vertical lines, and you don't have to write all of the parts in between. I'm writing them so my numbers aren't coming out of nowhere, and so you know where they're coming from. Okay, so when I'm looking for G, is that coming from the blue graph or the purple graph? The blue, so I'm looking right here. Where is that point of intersection? At -1, so that's my answer here. Okay. Do you have a question, Jessica? Are you sure? Because your face looks like you have a question. Yes. How do I find -1? Okay. So do you see how right here is where the green and the blue graphs intersect? Do you see where I'm talking about at this point right there? So if I go over to my y-axis, I know it's at -1. Okay. Okay, Jessica, I'm going to have you help me with the last one, okay? Of course I am. What do I do first, Jessica? What's the first step? G of 7. Good. So when I go to my graph, let me erase everything that's on here. Okay, so G of 7 is where X is 7 all the way over here to the right. Do I look at the blue graph or the purple graph? The blue graph. So right here, what's the Y value? 2. Is that okay for some of you? Did that just click for some more of you? Okay. Is that okay? Is that better now? Okay. What is my next step? I go to F of 2. Okay. So now I'm going to go to 2. And is that my purple graph or my blue graph? Purple. So that's pretty close to -4. It's a little bit above, but we're going to approximate it by its closest one. Okay, did that help? Did that clear up some of the questions that we had? Yes. Today? Like after this lesson? Like in the next couple days? Yes. We always add things on. That's how math is. Okay, right now, you guys have about, just under 20 minutes, about 17 minutes. Okay, I have 5 U-tries for you, okay? So on the next page is a graph. My recommendation is to take a picture of the graph. That way you can follow along with your fingers to get these answers, okay? Please work in your groups. Ask your group members for help. I'm going to give you about 10 to 12 minutes to do these, and I will put up the answers, okay? Okay, please check your answers for these 5 U-tries. Please check your answers. Okay, and then these are the last notes that we have.
Let's go.
That doesn't mean you get to start playing a game.